Alright, y'all, welcome to the Y'all Sports Pass Podcast West. I'm your host, Youth. And today we'll be talking about all of the teams, what happened during the offseason and all that stuff. We got brand new teams to talk about, and let's get started. I'm going to start off about Hoa first. Obviously, with the move to 4A, things are going to be a bit different for Hoa. Of course, we got a couple new ads. The transfer rule is now in, meaning anyone can transfer one time for any reason at all. I don't know. It has affected a lot of teams, especially a team we're going to talk about here very soon. Of course, a notable addition is a lineman and a defensive lineman of Tom Brazelton for Bearden. He transferred over to Hoa in the spring. Should be a nice addition for the line for Hoa. Of course, they start the season off with Maryville Battle Pistol Creek, which is week 1, name of the week. And then they go on to home and face it as Bearden. And then the district starts against Dips. Which will also be their first away game as well. Another notable game they have is it is Knoxville West, which is even the rivalry since 2020. I meant 2021. I did a bit stuck between the schedules a lot. But other than that, Hoa should have a pretty good season along the line. That's when we talk about the Bearden Bulldogs. Huge change for them. They're going to have to rebuild now because of this. Their head coach, Josh Jones, got fired back in February. And that changed the entire team. In April, everyone good transferred out. Jason, Eshawn, a lot of notable guys transferred over to Anderson County. Some guys transferred to Maryville. Some guys transferred to Powell. They transferred everywhere around Knoxville and around the Knoxville area. All they have left, notable players, Paxton Parrott and Tyler Thomas are the only guys that notably tell is talented at Bearden. But one huge significance about this, they brought back Brad Taylor as head coach. He last coached at Bearden 2013, and he was at Carnes for a while, but he is officially back at Bearden. A bit of a notable change there. That doesn't mean they'll have Devon Young at the end. They'll have to build around the team. And they got a schedule too, a tough one to say the least. They got West and Hoa to start alongside Maryville. And I was going to say they had Knoxville halfway, but they replaced them with Science Hill. And then the rest of their schedule, Hardin Valley, Faraday, Oak Ridge, which used to be lively Thursday game, they rescheduled for Heritage and William Blunt, which we'll talk about later on. And then Hoyland and all that stuff. So you're going to have to see if Bearden didn't even win one game. I'm kind of getting worried for them. Only Paxton and Tyron as the players to watch out for. This is going to be a bit interesting. They have a quarterback situation as well. DJ Hunter is transferring out of state and going to Buford High School. And it's between Aiden Facker and Ethan Klein in for the quarterback position right now. Not to mention some other notable transfers. And if Simon went over to Brentwood Academy, Charles Humphrey Jr. went over to Anderson County, Booby Revelle went over to Anderson County. Mentioned before, Tom Brazelton to Hoa. Torrey Beaufort went over to Maryville, so follow the Bodie Smith route. We'll talk about Maryville pretty soon with their transfers in. And not really else to say. Not to mention Chaz Smith. He was slated to come back to Bearden, but because of the stuff that's going on, he instead transferred to Knoxville halfway. And not to brag or anything, but your host, Youth, is also going to be at Knoxville halfway for a bit. So I might cover them in the future, but we'll see what happens there. The only notable transfer for Bearden is Will Taylor, who is the son of Coach Brad. And not really that notable, so we'll just see what Bearden has in stock. It could surprise people and maybe be fair that they've done that before with Coach Taylor. Maybe have a chance at Davis Bennett or Science Hill. But we'll see what happens at Bearden. Up next, we got Faraday and Sag Reef. They're now apparently the best team at Kingston Pike again. As Knoxville West has some stuff going on right now. Bearden's changed a lot. Faraday remains unchanged, so a couple transfers in. And Faraday's looking to be a team to beat. Of course, many players on the roster staying, and a schedule that is very good for them, to say the least. They got Sevier County on Saturday, very huge game. One of a couple out of East Tennessee opponents. So yeah, it's looking really good for Faraday over the lines. Other notable opponents are Powell, Upperman, and Hookville. Up next, we got Horn Valley, and bad news, they have not changed. They are still the same Horn Valley team they were last year. I didn't see any new notable additions to the list. They still have the same players. Some players probably went to Bearden, I don't know. But it's looking like the same thing from last year, and potentially losing to a not so good Bearden team is really going to hurt Horn Valley's chances. But they got some games that surprised me a bit. Their last game of the season is not district. They're playing Ottawa on the last game of the season, which is pretty strange. They're also keeping the Orange rivalry. Not to mention the West Ridge edition also seems kind of strange. I know they're a brand new school. Horn Valley's a new school too. Then again, it just seems like a weird matchup. Alongside the Horn Valley and Oak Ridge rivalry returning, this seems like the season that we expect Horn Valley to have. They're going to win a couple games or two, but not that much. Now on the Horns, of course, they still have Reed Warren as head coach, but they lose Brad Taylor to Bearden, so it'll be a bit different for Horns. They're losing a player over to Bearden as well. So their coaching staff's going to change just a bit, but Horns is still going to have that same roster from last year, so not much is difference for them. They're also moving to 5A Region 2, so brand new schedule along the line there. So alongside playing the usual Clinton, Campbell County, they're losing Oak Ridge to 6A. But now they're going to be playing Powell again, they'll be playing Halls, they'll be playing West, William Blunt, all that stuff. William Blunt's moving down to 5A as well. Up next, we got Maryville, and this is another team affected by the transfer rule. They ended up dating a few guys, and they ended up losing some guys. Who they get? They get Torrey Beaufort out of Bearden. They do need some wide receivers, as they are losing Britton Bear to graduation, so that is good for Maryville's receiver core. What they're losing, though, is based off their running backs. Either or even in the water, Cameron Porter will be the starter for Maryville, will be Cameron Porter. As I just heard, or even in the water will be transferring to Powell. So that'll be the situation for Powell in their running back line. They are losing Connor Wheeler to graduation, so that'll be something for Powell. They have a running back in hand at least. But as for Maryville, they're keeping their guys. Bodie Smith staying. Will Jones is staying. Well, they will lose Bryce Davis to graduation. They will have Cameron Porter as their running back. And a lot of other guys are staying as well. Some guys losing to graduation, but still. I forgot to mention about the Bearden situation. Ethan Hill is also going to Powell. So, of course, they're going to start the season. Week 1 is Alcoa Battle, Pistol Creek. And then they're going to have a couple opponents on the line. They have West, they have Bearden. They also have Oakville on the schedule as well. So Oakville's going to have 2 teams in the Knoxville area to play against. And their usual schedule, and they have Oak Ridge, which is a pretty huge addition, as Maryville and Oak Ridge are 2 big areas in the Knoxville area. So I like to see them 2 match up against each other. They've been playing scrimmages as well. Other than that, their usual district opponents plus Science Hill. Up next, we have Oak Ridge, another huge team to cover the transfer rule. Now, I don't know who's transferring out or in. It's going to be from the Anderson County team. Anderson County has been losing guys to Oak Ridge, but Anderson County has been getting guys from Oak Ridge. Majority of them from Bearden, but then again, Oak Ridge and Anderson County, they're just teams in Anderson County. Clinton is like that one team that, like, I don't know. But Oak Ridge is a new addition to the All Sports Pass Podcast West alongside Alcoa, and they will be joining 6A this season. So that will be a huge jump for Oak Ridge. They'll be playing teams like Bearden, Faraday, Horn Valley, and Maryville. Alongside that, they have Live Thursday versus Halls. They're keeping Clinton. They're also going to be playing Lenore City and Dobbs Bennett. So, of course, a 6A matchup for Oak Ridge as they move up. Up next, we got another new team, Oliver Springs, the first addition to the 1A small schools in the All Sports Pass podcast. Of course, this will be on the West Channel. I will be covering Oliver Springs this football season. This is a team that's not affected by the transfer portal. I don't know anyone that is transferred to a 1A school, but Oliver Springs, they had a really good season last year, and they would continue. Maybe they revenge over Coalfield this season by, of course, they have some weaker opponents for 1A. Of course, having Eaton, in their West schedule. It makes a lot of sense. Alongside Will County and Oneida, but they're going to get a new district opponent as of Wartburg Central, who's moving down to 1A this season. And then you have your usual district games, Midway, Harriman, Oldfield, Watwood, all that stuff. So all of our Springs should go far this season, playoff-wide and, season-wide. Up next, we got South Doyle, a team that's not really affected by the transfer portal. Of course, having Alcoa as their district opponent now, that just feels tough for South Doyle. As, of course, they were not getting as good as they were back in 2020, 2019, and now they have a harder district schedule. So this is looking for South Doyle, but that's all I got to say about them. Nothing really happened this offseason for South Doyle. Up next, we got West. Now, here's something different that's going to happen for the podcast. As for West High School, I will be covering West High School less this season. It will be covered by one of the co-hosts of the All Sports Pass podcast who goes to West High School. He will be talking about West High School a bit on this channel. But nevertheless, I will still be talking about West for the off-season, of course. Stuff's going on with them. Their head coach has been placed on leave. Stuff I cannot say on YouTube. Their running backs coach is in trouble. A lot of the stuff. But I'm going to talk less about that. That's going to be a bit of their situation. Some people are going to be transferring out of West as well. So you're not going to see the same state championship team from 2022 to 2023. You're probably going to see a more, beard and white team from, 2022, 2023, and all that stuff. They still have a pretty good schedule. They're still in 5A Region 2 with the addition of Harns, Hamilton County, Clinton, William Blunt. But they do have some good opponents alongside as Bearden, Alcoa, and Maryville remain in their schedule. West should still have a winning season. They should still be in the quarterfinals as usual. Maybe semifinals if they win that. But we'll just have to see what Sevier County delivers. I also forgot to mention Sevier County ended up getting Preston Husky out of Bearden as a transfer. And finally, we have William Blunt. This is a team that is going to be moving down this year. They will be moving down to 5A, so they're going to be in a tough district stuff. They got West, got Powell. They don't have to deal with those teams. But they got some more easier opponents like Harns, Hamilton County, Clinton, Heritage Halls. Or not Heritage. Heritage is moving down to 4A. But some of those opponents along the line that William Blunt will be facing this season. Nothing's really changed for them. Some players might transfer. Some players transfer to Maryville, maybe Alcoa. What county is going to have some transfers in? Maryville had to deal with their stuff. Alcoa had to deal with Bearden and their stuff. And, if William Blunt is going to have to deal with, that'll deal with Maryville and Alcoa, basically. So, it's all William Blunt has. While in the making of this video, I also forgot about Heritage. They are also a brand new team in the All Sports Pass podcast West. So we will be covering their offseason as well. Another team not really affected by the transfer rule, except maybe a couple to Alcoa and Maryville. I doubt anyone's transferring from Heritage to William Blunt. They're from the opposite sides of the county, so Heritage not really affected by that. Though they are moving down to 4A, so they're going to have a bit of a tougher district with Alcoa and Anderson County in there. Alcoa moving up to 4A as well. But you did those usual opponents, South Doyle, Harder, Gibbs, Fulton, and all that stuff. And alongside that, as I mentioned earlier, Heritage and William Blunt will be rivalry Thursday. It'll be a pretty interesting game. See how it goes. Anyways, this is the All Sports Pass podcast West. Like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the North channel too. It will help us out. Your host, is signing out.